Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell them. Look, I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another topic session. And today we're on with my guy, Mr. Robert Harper II. Man, great guy. Always a blast when we come on. And
Yes, sir.
I always have to get a disclaimer every time we come on. I just want to warn you, it's about to be hot. So those of you that are checking it out, I just wanted to warn you and give you the disclaimer. But again, thanks so much for always, taking the time to chop it up with me, and appreciate all that you do and everything and how you do what you do, my man.
Oh, definitely, Doc. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate the opportunity. It's always a joy to come on here with you, man, and just have a conversation, man, and try to be a blessing.
That's it. That's what it's about. So today we're going to hit on growth. We just, we had a convo yesterday, and we kind of went into the growth section. Like, hold on, wait a minute.
Right.
We'll just finish it up tomorrow. So hold on. So we're just going to hit on growth today. What's on your heart today, man, about growth?
One of the things I think about when I think about growth, man, is probably environment. It's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Come on.
Environment. A lot of things are lay dormant within us. A lot of gifts and talents and abilities, and it's until we get placed in the right environment that those things actually have the opportunity to really flourish and grow. Unfortunately, a lot of times, man, we put ourselves and surround ourselves with people that just won't allow us to grow. People that are just not committed, uncommitted. I have a phrase that says, "Don't be around people that are committed to being uncommitted." Right? So don't be around people like that. So sometimes people are not bad people. They're just stuck in their ways, and they're accustomed to how they do things, not realizing your ambitions and your goals require you to be at another level, require you to grow. And so it's important, if you want to do that, you got to put yourself in the right environment. You got to put yourself in the right space, right people. I remember talking to a group of young people one time, man. Think about it, some middle school kids, and I talked to them. I said, "What does it take for a fish to get well? If a fish is sick, what does it take for a fish to get well?" And all of them had different responses. Some of them said, give them some medicine. It needs to get some rest. Give them a shot. All kind of stuff, man. So I said, no. If the fish is going to get well, then the only thing that needs to happen is that the fish needs to get placed in a new environment. It needs for you to change the water. If you change the water, clean the water out, the fish automatically begins to do well. And so what I was trying to convey to them is that, similar to what we talked about on yesterday, was that God has already enabled us. He's already equipped us with everything that we need. We have it. We've got it already. It's just that sometimes we're not in the right environment to really allow that to flourish to its fullest capacity. So I think environment is everything, man. When we talk about trying to grow and get to that next level.
Yeah, it's funny that's the first thing you hit on, because that was the first thing on my list of notes that I had too.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was environment.
We're on the same page.
Man, and it's so key. I think I love that analogy about the fish, changing the water. But I think for me, when I think of environment, I think of soil, like a plant in soil and roots in the soil. That's the kind of a picture that comes to mind for me. When I think about environment, I think it's important, as a plant, for it to fully grow to its maximum potential and do the things that it needs to do, or a tree, that's planted by the water. It shall not be.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Come on. Oh,
You
hey,
taking this?
hey, I'm taking you to church. Oh, my bad. Okay.
Taking them
So
folks to church,
I'm
man.
taking you to church. So, you think of a plant, you think of a tree, and when it's in, there's some things that it needs. First off, it has to have the good soil for it to grow the way it needs to grow. Of course, you have to have water. Of course, you have to have sunlight. And so, for me, I think if the environment, emulates the good soil, and if you are planted in good soil, if you will, then it allows you to have continued growth and just, I don't know, man, you're in a place where you can just strive on knowing that everything that you're around is good stuff. As opposed to being in bad soil where, it doesn't allow you to grow or get deeply rooted. And when I say deeply rooted, I mean like really being able to hunker down and being able to be aware of the things that's going on and continuing to have that growth that you have to have. You don't stunt your growth, right? When you're in good soil. So I think for me, that's kind of what comes to mind. Of course, first the environment, you have to place yourself in good soil.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Good soil. Hey, another thought came to my mind is action plan. Talk about trying to grow. Yeah, man, action plan. Sometimes, when you think about action plan, it's so necessary because the word growth itself can be so overwhelming. It can become paralyzing when you think about the idea that a person needs to grow. And you think about where you are and where you need to be. You're like, man, I can never get there. And so I was sharing with someone the other day about the first time I saw a motivational speaker. I was like, man, he was so polished. He was so great. He was phenomenal with the crowd. And I said, man, that's what I need to be doing. That's me. That's what I've always wanted to do, is to pour into people. And I felt like we had kindred spirits. And so I just said, okay, hey, how do I get there, right? And the first action plan for me was to just go over there and grab his books, And so I said, can I take your books and walk you to your car, And that was an action plan. Though it was a small action plan, I knew it was one step in the right direction in order for me to achieve the goal that I wanted. And so I would tell people that whatever the goal is, create an action plan and make sure whatever that action plan is, make sure it's realistic, right? That first step. Like my first step couldn't be, I'm speaking in the arena, right? Like I'm speaking in an arena with 5,000 people, 20,000 people. That's not a realistic goal. And so for me, my first realistic goal was just to shake his hand, introduce myself to him, and can I carry your books to your car? And have a conversation. And I knew that was one step closer to me fulfilling a goal of mine. And so I would tell people, man, if you're going to have growth in your life, then create an action plan, something tangible, something that's realistic, something that you can do, so it won't be so paralyzing, so it won't be so overwhelming for you. And I think that's key. That's key to trying to develop, trying to grow, making sure that you have some type of plan. You can write it down. You can look at it. You can review it on a day-to-day basis. You can look at whether, or I like to say it. If you can, I have a little saying, Chip. I say, if you can write it, you can read it. If you can read it, you can speak it. And if you can speak it, you can live it. Right. So that's something for me, is that if I can see it and I can say it, then I know that I can become it. So I think that's really, really key, having an action plan and making sure that action plan is realistic.
And I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
And writing it down, seeing it, and making it happen. That's it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I think my second point is I also think about relationships when you look at growth.
Come on, Chip.
And I think, man, quality relationships are so vital. I mean, and I like just looking at myself. Like I think about my mother, and you told a good story about your mom yesterday. I got to give you a mom story here.
All right.
She used to always make sure that I was around the right people. I mean, and she was adamant about like she was like, no, sometimes I would think, man, this lady is tripping, like what is she? I mean, like, just nope, hanging around them, don't have them calling my house, like
Right.
really adamant. And at the time I didn't understand that those quality relationships are key to your growth, the people that are around you. And so as I got to be older and mature, you look back on it, and I saw that, hey, well, maybe, yeah, that person, yes, she was right, like, yeah, and so it kind of, came out in the wash on all of those things. But, as you get older, you mature, and you see, and we always talk about, reps makes us better. As we go through that and get more reps of being around people, we pick out those things. You see those things. Okay, these are the kind of people, movers and shakers. Yeah, check. Positive people. Yeah, check. People that have your best interests at heart. Yeah, check.
Right.
Like those are the things that you see. And then as you get older and you mature, you see that any of that other stuff is a non-negotiable. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not wasting my time with people that don't have my best interests at heart. I'm not wasting my time with people that don't speak positivity in my life. It's always negative. Like I don't waste my time with that. And so I think it's key that you have those quality relationships, which allows you to grow.
Yeah, that's really key that you mentioned that the relationship aspect, because I think once you experience it, like your mom was so adamant about protecting you and what goes into your mind and your relationships, and she was so big on that. And I think we have to be aggressive when it comes to the people that are around us and people we surround ourselves with. And when you experience the right kind of people, it's hard for you to be willing to accept the wrong kind of people.
Ooh.
It's like,
and that's in any situation.
That's in any situation, man.
Yeah.
Once I've experienced the right kind of people around me, and why would I place myself in an environment now where I'm opening myself up to the wrong kind of people? I put it like this, people that try to figure out fake money, money that's not real, they don't waste their time trying to figure out and detect all the different versions of fake money, do they? They study real money. They study real money. They get around real money. And when they get around real money, it's easy for them to detect the false money. It's easy for them to detect the counterfeit, right? Because I've been studying real money. So when you surround yourself with real people, real relationships, people that are loving and pouring into you and supporting you and wishing you well and have your best interests at heart, it's like that's all you've been surrounding yourself with. You can easily detect when people are not. You understand, when they're counterfeits, when they don't mean you well, when they don't have your best interests at heart, it's like your mom was genius in that, because I was surrounded him with a whole bunch of good people, loving people. And so that as he gets older, he can't make the decision for himself. But now as he gets older, he'll be able to decipher, okay, I know what real is. I know what real relationships look like. I know what love looks like. I know what support looks like. And that's not it. And so I think that's really good that your mom was super, super aggressive. Yeah. You maybe as a child, you may be like, okay, mom, relax a little bit, but as an adult, you got to appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to appreciate it for sure. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah. You're right on that, as far as the whole just appreciating the fact that, she looked out in that manner to make sure that I was taken care of. And, and with growth, sometimes there's a lot of things we don't understand until we get to where we are having maturity. And then when we have that maturity, we can look back and be appreciative for that experience of growing through that. Yeah.
Another point that I had here, my third point was being mindful and self-aware of self-sabotaging behavior or self-sabotaging things in our lives, right? I think it's really, really key on our journey, on our self-development journey, on our growth journey, for us to be very, very self-aware. Because a lot of times we always like to say, church folks, it's the enemy, it's the enemy, it's the enemy, but I heard someone say before, sometimes the enemy is in me. Is in me. Sometimes the enemy is in me. And so sometimes we can be our worst enemy, man. Some self-sabotaging behavior. And you're trying to grow. But your actions and your behavior are not lining up with what you want, with what you say you want. You say, man, I want to be the best athlete in the world, but you give a half-hearted effort in practice, or you're late to practice, right?
The wrong thing in your body.
Yeah, you're putting the wrong thing in your body. You're eating the wrong thing. All of these things are like what we talked about yesterday. This is what you can control.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can't control that, then you're being self-sabotaging. Mm-hmm. You're self-sabotaging yourself, And so just being mindful and very aware of things in your life that are not good for you, man, that are no longer serving you well, man. And at some point they might have, at some point that relationship might have been good for you, right? But the well has dried up. Man. You need to do something different. I'm thinking about a story in the Bible, man. It was a story where Jesus was out fishing. No, not Jesus was out fishing, but the disciples were out fishing. Mm-hmm. And Jesus came along and he told them to cast their nets out into the deep. Now they're trained fishermen, right? They're trained fishermen. My first response would have been, Jesus, I know you're a carpenter, but I'm a fisherman, right? I'm a fisherman, right? And I know how to do it. And they've been doing this all night and they've caught nothing. They've caught absolutely nothing. But Jesus comes along and just says, hey, cast your net out into the deep. And there was a little bit of resistance there at first, but then one of the disciples said, hey, nevertheless, at your word, I'll do it. So he casts his net out into the deep, and he gets a lot of fish, enough for not only himself, but also other people. And the lesson I got from that is that sometimes we got to cast our net out into the deep. We got to get uncomfortable, right? If you're talking about growth, you got to get uncomfortable. You got to go places and areas where you haven't been before, right? Oh, and so in order for you to get to the place or the destination you're trying to get to, you're going to have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's what Jesus asked him to do. He said, hey, cast your net out into the deep. This area, this place in which you've been fishing for a long time, it was good at one point. It brought you some fish at some point. It was valuable at some point. But now you got to cast your net out into the deep, right? And so I think for us as individuals, we can't become complacent. We can't become stagnant. Individuals like us, we have to always be growing and developing and pouring into ourselves so that we can pour into other people, man. Yeah. And a lot of times it's uncomfortable. It don't it doesn't feel good.
No doubt, man.
Yeah, man. So I think for sure, man, just casting our net out into the deep, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Yeah.
Like and once again, man, you've used the same point that I had.
Man, we in each other's notes, man.
And for me, I was, I put it as, you have to stretch yourself. And, you have to, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and the same thing, to do some things that you haven't, to achieve some things you haven't achieved, you got to do some things you haven't done. Right. And so it's important to make sure that you stretch yourself in that point. And so I won't hit a lot on that, but same exact point what I had, your comfort zone, you got to get out of it.
You got to get out of that, man.
Yeah.
Get out of that comfort zone.
Did you have any more points?
Those are my main ones, man. My main ones was really, I think you talked about a point that I had over here about soil and cultivation. So yeah, that was my main point right there, man. And then I like something that you said. I was going to mention something that you talked about yesterday.
Okay.
About a formula you gave on yesterday. I've been thinking about the idea of maximum effort, consistency, and the last one I believe it was
positive attitude.
I put on positivity.
Yeah.
So positivity or positive attitude, maximum effort, and consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been really thinking about that because, I like that for me, and I'm pretty sure it's one of the reasons why you create the formula book, because you can see it's very, very clear. Have
Oh
I been
man.
consistent? I can check that off. Have I been
Yep.
consistent? Have I been giving maximum effort? And have I had a positive attitude? And I'm going to be honest, man. Sometimes it's easy to give a maximum effort, but sometimes how willing are you giving a positive attitude? It's like, yeah, I'm going as hard as I can, but all the way through it, I may not have the best attitude.
Yeah.
And really
Are you
sometimes
grateful for it, or are you doing it because you have a chip on your shoulder? Or are you,
exactly
like, what are your intentions? Do you have pure
what
intentions?
that's good, Chip. That's so
Yeah.
good. And a lot of times we kind of reward that, especially in American culture. We reward that chip on the shoulder kind of mentality. And
Mm-hmm.
in one sense, it can't get you there, the chip on the shoulder mentality. But I feel like once you having that, for me, this is just me. Everybody they do different things to drive them.
Right.
But for me, I'm not doing what I'm doing to prove anybody wrong. You know what I mean? I'm doing what I'm doing to prove to people that love me right. You feel
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like I want to prove to the people that have invested in me, that have
Yeah.
poured into me, that you're going to get a return on your investment. Like this is not a waste, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm not doing to prove. I'm not trying to prove you wrong or prove you. No, so I'm doing it out of pure intentions, and I feel like once you get to that top, you can still have love in your heart. You can still have a spirit of joy, and so for me, that's just making sure that I'm right spiritually and emotionally. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
Because sometimes we can carry so much stress just because we have this burden that we're carrying. And all we need to do is have a shift of perspective, and why you're doing what you're doing. Keep that same drive, but why are you doing it? But that's just the way I try to go about life, man. And there've been moments where I've been tempted to go the other route too. You know what I mean? Because
Oh
people
yeah.
talk down, you want to prove them. But I realized me being there doesn't allow me to be in the right mental space, spiritual space, emotional space all the time. So I just figured I want to do it because there have been so many people that have invested in me, man. So many people that have poured into me, and I feel like that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to make good on their investment.
And your actions, man, speak so much louder than the words.
For sure, man.
I'll show you. I just want to show you that you're getting a return.
Oh
It's
yeah,
for you. Like, you got that degree? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just that's for you.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
mom.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey man, I got I don't know if I shared this one with you, Chip, but I got a mama story
Yep,
that'll
you
blow you.
did. The
I
letter.
shared that one with you, huh?
Yeah, man,
About the
that's good
degree.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
man.
can share it again though, because it's really good.
But that for me, that was my drive. That
Right.
was my drive, man.
Yep. And that's why I brought it up. I remembered it.
Right, man.
Yeah.
I was in high school, man, and my teachers came to my mom. My mom actually worked at the high school that I attended, and
Mhm.
so they spoke with her, told her, "Hey, your son is acting up." Two of them came to her in one day, and my mom took the time to write a 4-page letter to me, and just reminded me of all the things that she had been saying, that she had been previously saying. Get focused. I want you to graduate. I want you to do well. And she saw me in the hallway, and she dropped it off to me. She gave it to me, and she just walked away. Right? I read that letter right there. I didn't even move. I read that letter right then and there. And as I was reading it, I said to myself, whatever I do, if I get a degree, if I get a certificate, I'm going to attach it to this letter and give it back to my mom, right? And I just made up my mind that I was going to do that. Well, I get to college, and college was tough, but kind of similar to your story. Math was a struggle for me, but
Yeah.
I made it through. And eventually I made it through. But once I got my degree, I told myself, hey, let me get this back to my mom. I go to my mom one random day, and I give her this letter, and she's looking at it, and she doesn't even know exactly what it is until she sees the date at the top, and when she sees the date, smile, tears, all of those things, those emotions, because I wanted her to see that I'm not the same person, right? That your words didn't fall on deaf ears, that your investment you made in me, like there's you're making good on that, right? And so there's a return on the investment, man. So for me, every single day, I try to live with that, you know. I talk about this idea of pouring into others. Pouring into others is a must, man. You have to pour into other individuals because people have poured into you, you know. So if people poured into you, you got to do that. You got to give hope to those that are coming after you, and you got to honor those who came before you. And so that's just, for me, that's just the way I try to live, man. So yeah, that was my mama's story. She couldn't even believe that I kept that letter for that many years, man.
Yeah.
But it stayed right with me, man, because I wanted her to know that whenever I get it, you know, I remember that time, that moment when you gave me this letter. Yeah.
Man, that's a great story, and that's why I hit on that too, man. I remember you telling me about that, and
Yeah, man.
the people that have invested in you. I mean, they know that they've invested in you. They know, but then for us to remember and recall it to them, that's what get them right there.
That's what
remember?
that's all we want, right? That's all the people that we've invested in them. We want to make sure we're not just talking to the air. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those who have children, you have nephews, nieces, mentees. When you're pouring it to them, you want to make sure that, man, are they getting it?
Are they getting it? Yeah.
Are they getting it? And so to have somebody come back and say, I got it, you know, I got it, you know, that's everything, you know.
That's everything, man. Well, Hart, man, thanks so much again for taking the time to, man, always chop it up with me and just talk growth, man. Lots of great nuggets. And I warned you guys it was going to be hot. So I gave him a disclaimer, right?
You gave him a disclaimer, man. You told him already.
But yeah, man, again, thank you. And I wish you continued success on everything you have going on.
Oh, man, you too, Chip, man. Appreciate you, brother. I always enjoy to chop it up with you, man.
All right. Well, thank you guys for checking out this topic session on growth. We'll see you next time. God bless.
Go get it.